Put on this computer. There we go. And okay, pull up our, whoops, wrong one. And here we are. So we're going to be, let's see here. We go to share screen, and I'm share that. Okay, and we'll start with our slideshow from the beginning here. All righty, so good morning and welcome to the PEIMS CO22 coding class. My name is Travis Waddell and I am here at Region 10. Service ID codes, we're going to jump right into this. The CO22 contains all the service ID codes for classes you may teach. And some refer to these codes, for classes, as PEIMS codes. So the class code, the correct ID code for a class, but so with the we sometimes call them codes for classes. And copies website, the R10 Google website, show you how to get there out of that site real quick. I'm going to open up. Let me open up. Well, close this back up. Let me open. Be able to. I got to share this side here. Excuse me. Go back to share. Resume share. There we go. And we want to do. There we go. I am going to share with you where we can go to find the, so if in the future, if you want to find the documents like for today's class, if you would type in R10 CTE Google, and it'll come up with our programming site here. So that will be the Region 10 programming planning site. You click on that, and what will happen is if you scan down this page, you'll find a lot of information. You'll find the CO22 excerpt that we're going to be talking about today that's for planning for the 2017-2018 school year. You'll find the CO22 that is being currently used. So that's for the 2016-2017. We'll reference it today as well. We'll be referencing the CTE class sizes. It's not just CTE class sizes, it'll be all class sizes, but we're referencing that document. We're going to reference the CTE course Crosswalk. And we will be referencing the rules for when we're coding kids for DAEP placement or JJAEP placement, more so DAEP or elongated placements in interschool suspension. We'll be talking about the innovative courses expiring list, courses that might be expiring in the next year for considerations for your master schedule building. So forgive me while I'm moving back and forth between sites because I have to share them. Here we go. So let's get back here. What I want to do is I am going to open up the, let's see. For our class today, the first thing we want to talk about is the CO22, but that's not where I'm going to find it. My apologies. Let me go back to our directors meeting here. And CO22. Oh, well. Okay, hang on a second. Wow, I thought I had that in there. Let's see if I got a copy of it over here. Here we go. So here's our CO22 that we'll be using for planning for next year. So when we're working with the CO22, I love to use the find on this. It has a, let me get back to where, yep. There we go. I like to use my find section. Sorry about that. I'm having a few little difficulties this morning. Here we go. So I like to use the find portion of this, and you can just type in a class if you wanted to see with the CO22 what classes are associated with robotics. If you notice, I'm going to share with you some information about how this particular form works here. So when we open the CO22, I know some of you are familiar with this and some of you aren't, so we're going to go to some basics here. And with the CO22, it's going to have the code table, the name of the, this would basically be your name and then the date. And then when we get down here, we have the code, the translation, if it's eligible for high school credit, the course abbreviation, this is what you would normally see on the transcripts, the units, which is how many credits that course is, and if it is for high school or middle school credit. So if we were to type in robot, what we would find is that the course code for this class is 03580395, robotics programming and design. Yes for high school credit. If we go back up the document a little bit, see it says eligible for high school state credit, yes. And then it gives you an acronym essentially, which is a course abbreviation. So when you get a student's transcript from another school, or if you're looking at the end of year transcript and you're doing a transcript audit, a lot of times this is what will appear or should appear if being coded correctly. Currently, these are the hours that are given. So 0.5 to 1. Now, when we get into our, but this is not a CTE class. This is an actual elective class. If we hit the go to button one more time, we will find what is a CTE class. Now, if you notice, it has an additional letter in what is the 6th column. And what that is, once again, you have the code here, you have the translation, you have eligible for high school credit, course abbreviation, course units, and is this going to be funded for high school CTE? The only way a class will receive funding, if we go back up, for CTE is if there is a letter in this column. As there are no letters in the column for robotics programming and design, this is an elected course that falls under the technology applications chapter. And then if you look, you will not receive CTE funding for that particular course. But if you had a person who was certified to teach from the STEM subchapter, and you were using a service ID code of 130.03.7000, this is for next year, for 17-18, this class would be used and would be used to teach robotics and would be able to draw CTE funding. Now, let me come back out and get back out to my slideshow. Let's see here. Here we go. All right. And from current slide. Okay. That's kind of what I wanted to get away from, though, wasn't it? Okay. So if we look where to find copies of the CO22, once again, if you follow our site here, you can click on this. If you downloaded the slideshow, I actually hyperlink that, so it would take you straight to the Google 10 website. I'll click on it one more time here. So you can find those documents. Let me get out of here. Hang on one second. There we go. My screen had gotten hung up there. Wow. Okay. So when we go to the Region 10 Google website, if you look, you'll find the CO22 documents right here. Now, this is the CO22 that's going to be used for 16-17. This is the CO22 that's used for 17 and beyond planning. Let me get back over here to the slideshow. So, okay. Now, when we're talking about the example from 17-18, sounds familiar. Here we go. If we're talking about the example from 1718, if you notice, well, let me go back, excuse me. If you notice here on this one, if we look at the very first column, it's going to have N1303765. Now that is an innovative course. That is also a course that is can be used for high school CTE credits. We also notice that if we look down, we see the subchapter P for transportation. I like to use this example because this particular page has both an example of what it looks like for an innovative class. If you were to see that it has one letter and 7 numerical digits, whereas a standard service ID coded class from the state of Texas has 8 digits. So you're going to see that letter in the digits for classes that are innovative, but you're not going to see that in classes that are owned by TEA. One of the things about innovative courses is that they are not owned by TEA and not controlled by TEA. They're overviewed by TEA. And TEA houses the TEKS and all, but the class itself is created and then edited by an outside entity, be it a school district or someone like if you look at the fourth numeric down, that's N1303768, that would be computer science and software engineering, which would be a project lead the way course for this particular example. Now here's another example, and the reason I use this one is it has the 127s. If you look down, and then above it, it has the classes that would be for standard credit without CTE funding. And there's also the middle school classes. If we look in the far right column, in that 6th column, you'll see that in the 6th column, the first few classes like web design and web game development are essentially elective classes. They are not eligible for CTE funding. And if we go down and we see the middle school classes in chapter 127 under career and technical education courses, once again, we find that those courses are not available for high school funding, because remember, the only classes that can receive state and local funding from the state, this is not federal funding, this is just applying to state and local funding, are are high school classes. Middle school classes do not qualify for funding unless they are CTED classes. So I will take a minute to talk about CTED. CTED classes are special ed classes specifically geared towards your life skills students. They have to be 100% SPED classes. They cannot include any general education students. If you have any questions on that, my email will be shared at the end. And let's move on through some more with the CO22. So here's another one that this is your one caveat, for lack of a better term. This is the one class that draws CTE funding that does not have a 127 or a 130, because it was just a slight error that was made, and TEA caught it, and they have put a process in place. But this course, that's numerator N1290060, general employability skills, can be taught for high school CTE credit and can be taught by a special ed teacher. A lot of districts are looking for a class that they can teach to 9th through 12th graders in special ed that can be taught specifically by the special ed student, or excuse me, by the special ed teacher to the special ed students. If you have any questions about the general employability skills class, please let me know. Let me go back for a second here. Let me go back up to one of my rules. The basic rules, the CO22, every class in the CO22 has an 8-digit code. And the TEKS and all CTE classes begin with the numerator 127 or 130, and there is that single exception, which is the employability skills class. And then when we get into the innovative courses, understand that if you're going to place an innovative course, or you're considering placing an innovative course on your schedule, you must have school board approval. The TEKS for said classes are housed in the TEA. They're housed with the Texas Education Agency, and you have to receive permission from the board before you can place that on your master schedule. And then, like I said, the TEKS are housed with the TEA, and the certifications for those classes are housed at the very bottom, usually the last entry into the actual TEKS or the guidance for that particular class. So CTE course crosswalk document. We're going to go and look at the course crosswalk document. And let me get out of this page here. There we go. So we're going to look at the course crosswalk. If you notice, it's over here. We'll pull up the view section from the Google page here we have. Come in a little bit on it. There we go. So with the course crosswalk, it currently shows all of the current classes in CTE that we're teaching. And it also shows what they'll look like next year. If you see a change in the color of the classes lettering, you'll notice that that has a definitive change to it. Example being, Applied Mathematics for Technical Professionals was an innovative course. It has now been adopted by TEA, and Applied Mathematics for Technical Professionals will become an actual TEA course. Another caveat on this one that you'll find out in a minute when I show you a different document is this class can be used as a third level math. Associate that with, say, a math model. So it'd be the same level as math models. It would be above your algebra and your geometry, but below your algebra 2 and classes of the fourth level. And then there's also been some questions about the career preparation 1 and 2. While we're on that subject, let's go back over to the CO22, and I'll do a quick talk on that. So for career prep, if we look, how it's going to look coming in for next year is, here we go. How it's going to look coming in for next year is career prep 1 will be for 2 hours, and career prep 1 with extended career preparation will be for 3, or not hours, but credits. Now, the discussion on what hours, I've had questions come in about how many hours, because currently a student is enrolled in career prep 1 or career prep 2, and if they work 10 to 15 hours but don't surpass 15 hours, then they can be credited with 2 credits. If they work 15 plus hours, and that's on a weekly basis as part of their work plan, then they can earn 3 credits. But you can only earn up to 3 credits for a total of 120 minutes outside of the classroom. So next year, what that'll look like is if you have a student who's going to be in career preparation and their plan is for them to work anywhere between 10 to 14 hours and 59 minutes per week, then they would fall under this service ID code here. If they're a student that's going to work between 15 plus hours per week, then they would fall under career prep 1 or career prep 2 extended. Now the guidance for that has not been released. I'm speculating based off of the current guidance that we find in chapter 5.7 of the Student Attendance Accountability Handbook, which covers career prep, and then I think it's 5.7.2 that covers career practicum. So with career preparation, we expect guidance to come out from the 2017-2018 Student Attendance Accountability Handbook, as has been mentioned by TEA. It was originally introduced into the TEKS. If you've seen a copy of the TEKS, if you don't, just email me and I can give you the link to where you can go to TEA website and review the current TEKS that are proposed for next year that take effect on August 27th, 2017. Those TEKS originally stipulated the time that was going to be held for these career prep classes. That has since been edited out. It's actually redlined through and underlined. It will not be part of the TEKS going forward. So the language, housing, career preparation guidance will be done so in Chapter 5 of the Student Attendance Accountability Handbook. If you have any questions about that, feel free to email me. So back to this. This is a wonderful, handy document. If you currently teach an equine science class for 1 credit, next year that equine science class will move to 0.5 credits. I've been asked, can I teach that class all year long? I will give you the guidance. I'm not making a recommendation. I'm just giving you what the legal law is. The law states that you may teach a class for half a semester or a half a credit for 2 semesters. So if you wanted to teach a class, say like small animal management or equine science for a full year for a half a credit, you may do such. I would not advise it because I don't feel a student should stay in a class year long to earn a half credit, and I'm not sure how we would defend that to the student and the parent. But my advice to you, or my guidance is, if you ask that question, the answer would be yes. You could draw CTE funding for a full year and issue a half credit. Or better yet, you could combine small animal management for the first semester and equine science second semester, or flop those around. Or I've heard where some people are going to use a combination of professional communications, which is now going to move to a half credit, and equine science or small animal management to counter for a whole year of teaching for 1 credit for a student. And if I'm correct, when we get down here, let me come down this page a little bit. So we are looking for, where's my slide? Bear with me here, my apologies. Oh, here we go. I was looking for banking and the finance chapter. So accounting 2, which will be for 1 credit, will also be for a math credit. And we'll see that in a form I'm going to show you soon. Financial mathematics, which is currently on our it's currently available, and it is currently in our chapter 7412 and 7413 of the Texas Administrative Code. And just to reiterate that, for students who entered the 9th grade in 2014 and thereafter, they are House Bill 5 students, and their graduation plans or their graduation guidance is covered in the Texas Administrative Code, chapter 7411 through 14, or 74.11 through 74.14. Your current seniors who are graduating this year, if they have not elected to graduate on the Foundation's graduation plan, and they're on the 4x4, and whether they're doing the minimum or the recognized or the distinguished, they would fall under chapter 74.71 through 74.74, and that would be specific to students who entered the 9th grade in 2012 or 2013. A student who entered the 9th grade before 2012, in other words, fall basically between 2007 or 2011 falls, would fall under chapter 7461 through 7464. If you have any questions or need guidance on that, please feel free to contact me. My email will be at the end of this session. So without further ado, we're going to move forward here, but I just wanted you to reflect on this. This will be a fundamental document as we move forward planning to help us and assist us in planning for next year and the years beyond. Principles of design, and elements of floral design. You're going to see this again in a minute. I'm going to speak on this. This is a class that can be used as a fine arts credit. One of the things I've noticed by digging around in 7413, which is where it houses our endorsement, or 7413F, section F, which is the 5 endorsement areas, does not mention in fine arts using floral design to earn a fine arts endorsement. So I'm going to be speaking with TEA about that to ask if that's a possibility or what the guidance is. So I'll be getting back to you all on that one. Let me get out of the course crosswalk. So I'm going to close the current tab here. And then let's go to, real quick, let's talk about class size for a second. If you've ever had someone approach you and say, hey, I have too many kids in my class, that's not legal. This was written by Dale Fowler from CTE, from TEA. And this is the response that's given by TEA. It says the citation for class size is not specific to any particular CTE course, but the district should consider the subject and teaching methods used to ensure the safety of the students. Now, in speaking with a friend of mine who's also a mentor, Dr. Bill Chapman, from Gerald ISD, he is the superintendent there. He recommends, and I agree with him, that for a lab class, you would want no more than about 14 to 16 at max students. And for your basic principles classes, you want somewhere between 21 to a max of about 24 to 26 on the real high end, if you needed to, and you had a teacher that could handle such a class load. But I would dare say 14 to 16 and around 22 for principles classes, 14 to 16 for classes that are lab-based for safety purposes. The other thing is to consider the class space size itself. If it doesn't support that number of students, that could also be an inhibitor for the number of students you place in a class. Now, except as otherwise authorized, may not enroll more than 22 students in 3rd or 4th grade classes. The number of students to enroll in a class, the school district taught the teaching methodology to be used in any individual instruction. So once again, for CTE, notice the rule for or less only applies up until that limitation does not pull basically your 5th grade and thereafter class with the Texas Education Code 22. But once again, for the safety and for the needs of students, class size and what instruction models and methods are being used with your students. So this particular excerpt is found on our website for Region 10. I'm going to close this tab. And then let's find the academic credit for core classes. Now, this is the 2016-2017 document, which is what we're currently working off of. So currently we're using this document, and it houses 5 math, 12 science, for a total of 14 sciences, because scientific research and design has 3 PEIMS codes. So it's really a total of 14 sciences, 5 maths, and 1 English. Now, let's close this tab. I thought I had added the academic core classes for, okay, so let me do one thing real quick. Let me add another file here. Core academic classes, here, I'm going to add core academic classes for this year, for 17 and beyond. So on our website here at the Google site, here we go. Okay, let me add that. Let me add a note to this. 1217 core CTE classes 2017 plus. There we go. So if we look at the CTE core academic classes that begin for 2017-18, we notice that there are quite a few classes added. Accounting 2 is going to become a math class. The requirements by TEA are to be determined. Now, there are certain classes that require additional training on the part of a teacher. One of the examples would be mathematical applications for food and natural resources. If you notice, I have a 1 and a 10. If you go down the page, you'll notice that the 10 refers to this particular class that's hosted under the Texas Gateway. Now, they need to take that class technically before or concurrently if it was a new hire. The TEA understands that sometimes you have people come in at the last minute and they don't have time to earn and finish that training before teaching the class. So it can be done concurrently, but we really like to see it done before they teach the actual class to help with their planning and processes. If you notice, we're going to have 10 versus 5 maths, and a large portion of them are level 3. So where they would fall in, they'd fall into that same area that math models is. But one of the things we recommend a lot of times is to consider, and you don't have to, but it's to consider replacing your math models with math applications, agriculture, food, natural resources, as this class is 85% algebra and 15% geometry if modeled correctly by the teacher of record. Or if you have, say, a group of seniors, and normally you place them in math models simply because they don't wish to take a calculus or anything, or that's not something on the graduation plan. If you have a student that was entering maybe a trade school or going into the military and did not feel that their plan needed a pre-cal or a trig, you could place that student in financial math. If you look at the TEKS for financial math, you'd be absolutely amazed. Now, one of the things I like to use the CO22 for, I'm going to come back to the CO22. We'll just go ahead and use this one here. So, matter of fact, I'd rather use, hang on a second. Let me close that out. Let me find the CO22 from, hang on, bear with me here. I'm on my other page. I've got a couple windows open here, and I am going to find CO22 from 2016-17, the one we're currently using. Here we go. Let's see. Well, give me 1 second here. I want to pull up our 16-17 CO22 so I can utilize that one. I do apologize for the delay here. Let's see. Here we go. 2016 CO20. There we go. So I've got this is the CO22 that applies for 2016-2017 school year. And I'll use this as an example. Say we wanted a teacher that was going to teach agriculture and agriculture. we were wanting to teach an agriculture class, for lack of a better term. So if we wanted to teach principles of agriculture, food, and natural resources, the reason I like to use the CO22 is it tells me that it comes out of subchapter A. Now you might ask, why is that important? Well, when we come back over to this other document, the one I should have had open. There we go. When we come back over to the other document, if you notice there are links. Now this will link us out to chapter 231, so we'll go to advanced animal science. Now, one of the things that those links do is take you directly to it, but if you were trying to find a certification from scratch, you could go to the TEA website, and when you enter into the TEA website, utilizing that CO22 information, because we know we're going to be looking in subchapter A, we'll go to Texas Educators. We'll pull down, because if you go left or right on this page, it'll drop another menu down for you. So go to Texas Educators, come straight down, come over to Certification Rules. This is how you'll find any certification you need. On this particular page, if you notice, it says State Board of Educator Certification Rules. You'll go to the Texas Administration Code currently in effect. We're going to be looking specifically at Chapter 231 for certifications. Now, it starts with kindergarten, goes down. We're going to come down, and we were talking about subchapter A, if you remember, when we were talking about agriculture and natural resources. So let's see, there we go. So we were looking at the agriculture, food, and natural resources, and we know that that's where we're going to find it. So let's just say we wanted to teach that that advanced or agriculture, food, and natural resources, or better yet, let's take a minute to look at the mathematical application. So who all could teach that math class? So if we were going to replace, say, our math models with the math applications, agriculture, food, natural resources, who could teach that course? Well, when you open it up, it's going to show you. So an agriculture, food, natural resources 6 through 12, and ag science and tech 6 through 12, any vocational agriculture certification, math 7 through 12, math 8 through 12. Now, this is one that catches people every now and then. The math, physical science, engineering, grade 6 through 12 needs to be read out on the certification just like that. I have seen where schools made the mistake of having a mathematics 6 through 12, or maybe just a physical science 6 through 12. It actually has to be read out because that's an MP and E certification. So if you were going to utilize 7 or 8, it actually needs to read on the person's state of Texas issued certification, math, physical science, and engineering, grades 6 through 12. All right. Let me come back out of this. I'm going to close this current tab. So when we get down into here, another thing to consider too is a basic example. I remember I was talking with someone recently. They had an environmental science class on their campus, and I said, well, do you have to have environmental science, or could you host a food science class? And they're like, well, who could teach it? So we clicked on the certification link. I don't know why that one brings up English like that. That was weird. Maybe I need to go back in to correct that link. Let's try that one more time. Well, that link's not working right. I'll have to fix that. That's embarrassing. So let's see. Let's go with scientific research and design. Well, we have a problem because those links usually work. I think I've just got an issue with my computer now. So let's go back into, let me open up a page here, and we'll go back to TEA real quick and walk in from the beginning. Those links will work off of a PDF document. As a matter of fact, probably use that, but I'll just go this way. So with that being said, certification rules currently in effect. We'll go to chapter 231 again. I'm going to come down to where I can find food science. Here we are. Under hospitality and tourism, we're going to find food science. So if you wanted to use food science in place of, say, environmental science, one of the things we would look at is, here are some of the certifications that can teach that class. Just so you know. So chemistry, Masters of Science, science grades 7 through 12, 8 through 12 can teach your food science class. And one of the things that someone asked me, why would we replace an environmental science with a food science class? One of the takes that I was taught at a seminar I went to is, if you could start at the refrigerator, maybe you could actually change the environment at a faster rate than you could we're just explaining to the kids what's going wrong with the environment. If we tell them where it starts from, with beginning with the end in mind. It's just food for thought. So let's get back out to our slideshow. So we've gone over our course crosswalk, innovative courses expiration list. That's what we need to talk about next. So innovative courses expiration list. Let's see here. Okay, so be mindful as you're working with your CTE or even your general coding to keep an eye out for these expiring innovative courses. Now, I've spoken with several people, and someone might actually be signed in today that I've spoken with about this. And some of those courses that have not been updated, in other words, they're not going to expire. We're still waiting. I'm still waiting to hear back from TEA on some items. And I've got to speak with them. But if you notice the way that this document is written, it gives you the name of the TEA point of contact. It gives you the abbreviation. It gives you the service code or the PEIMS code, the 8-digit class code, the content area, chapter 127, and then this is going to be CTE subchapter A. So, but what happens is if you look over here, there's asterisks. And the application for this course are not necessary. This course will become a TEKS-based course with implementation of the revised career and technical education course. In short, if it has a 1 asterisk beside it, that means TEA is adopting it to make it a TEA course, to be an actual state level course. It will no longer be innovative. It will not need board approval to teach the course. However, you will need board approval to put it on your master schedule or your course catalog, as you would with all courses you're going to teach. And then the district or organization that holds the current course application has applied for a renewal of this course. There is no need to submit an application. So if it has 2 asterisks, that means that the entity that currently owns the course, say a school district or someone like Project Lead the Way, has already submitted for the current renewal of the course. Now, if you notice, some of these courses like organic sustainable food production is currently not being shown to be renewed. There are some courses that are being taught. This one is going to be the video game design. Is going to become video gaming. It's going to be a standard course for TEA. Once again, if you have any of the courses on this list, please be mindful of them. I know I've been in contact with some people in some districts about the cosmetology. There's a general concern for that, and I'm still working with TEA to determine what we have as an additional add-on. And I've provided some information to school districts, but I'm going to follow up with a blanket email out to the entire CTE listserv. If you need to be on our listserv, you can contact me and I can send you that link. It is also on our Region 10 CTE website if you go to the second tab. So the cosmetology, facial specialists, and that, those aren't due to be renewed, but we are looking at classes that might be able to supplant or supplement for those. So if you have any questions about this expiring courses list, you can contact directly the TEA contact, or if you feel more comfortable contacting me, I am always available to help as well. So as we keep moving forward here, and I had, oh, what was that thought I had? Let's see, class size law, we've already went over. Oh, DAEP placement, here we are. DAEP placement for CTE students. That is spoken to in the Student Attendance Accountability Handbook, Chapter 5. Now, in short, you do not have to remove a student from the CTE class if you place them in a DAEP setting, or if you were to hold them in ISS longer than 5 days. However, if you are going to place them in DAEP, then you will not be able to receive funding to include the first 5 days of placement. So if you were to assign a student to DAEP on a Monday, you would have to, and something occurred where they weren't exactly there yet, you would still have to drop the funding as of the date of placement. You cannot draw funding while a student is in DAEP unless there is an actual certified person who is going to become the teacher of record for that specific class at DAEP. We do have DAEPs that have certified CTE teachers or persons who are certified to teach a class. Example being a financial math class. If you had a student who was in a financial math class, they were being taught, and they went to a DAEP that had a 6 through 12 or 7 through 12 math teacher, that would work. You could continue to draw funding. However, if you did not have a teacher that's on the certification list that could become the teacher of record, you would have to remove them from funding. You would speak with your PEIMS clerk. It used to be the 310 record for attendance. Now we just call it the PEIMS record. So you would have the PEIMS personnel go in under that class for that student and click them off for receiving a CTE funding for that particular course. If you need more guidance, I can get you in touch with Sharon and our people for PEIMS here at Region 10 for guidance. Now, the CO22 can help you find the appropriate certification. We've gone over that. One more thing I want to talk about before we end our class today. Let me get back out and find chapter 74. I'm going to show you exactly where it's at in the on the TEA website. So when I want to find the latest, and remember I mentioned earlier about making sure that you had courses that could legally be taught, I want to show you where the language is for courses that must be offered at your school district, and where that language is to be found. If you go to the Texas Administrative Code, chapter 74, and we go to 74.3, and it'll give us a description. So when we start talking about secondary, according to 74.3 of the Texas Administrative Code, a school district offers 9 through 12. They have to offer English 1, 2, 3, and 4. They have to offer Algebra 1, 2, Geometry, Pre-Calculus, and Math Models with applications. You can replace it with, say, the Ag, Math, and Natural Resources, but you would still need to be able to offer that class. Doesn't mean anybody has to take it, but you legally have to have it in your course catalog and it has to be there for students to take. Science has to have IPC, chemistry, physics, and at least 2 science courses from the following list. Social studies, United States, you get my drift here. I just wanted to make sure that you understood where to find the law that says what you must teach. Technology applications, it says right here that a school district that offers 9 through 12 must provide curriculum as specified. In 74.1 of this title, the district has sufficient resources. And if we look, technology applications, so you must be offering Computer Science 1 and Computer Science 2 or Advanced Placement Computer Science, or at least 2 courses from the Computer Science 3, Digital Art or Animation or Digital Communications in the 21st Century. So make sure you're mindful of that as you're going forward with your planning and meeting the requirements outlined in 74.3b for secondary studies for students. So that wraps up our webinar for today. Here is my email. If there are any questions, please feel free to contact me. Also, know that we're an advisory, not a regulatory, here at Region 10. Everything that was shared with you today, unless it's specified in law in the Texas Administrative Code, is simply advisory, i.e. if you were to replace the classes I was talking about, you don't have to do that. That's an advisory. Please understand that your board policy supersedes anything that's said in my webinar, save the law that's by the state of Texas and the Texas Administrative Code or Texas Education Code, which should be, your board policy should be compliant with. But once again, always reflect back onto your school board policy. And if you're looking to make any kind of changes to the master schedule or anything of that nature, ensure that the building principal is aware and is approved of such, and as so forth, the people up the chain, be it your curriculum director or your student services director or your superintendent or assistants there. I've been in school board as well. Have a great day. Thank you for participating in our webinar, and I will be conducting another webinar here in a little while on CTE funding. I will be talking about how you get money through CTE classes or how you can earn more money for your students in campus. Have a great day, and thank you so much.